You're
listening to the RFBL Report with your hosts, Bear and Pat Downsky.
I only realised when I was up in Wolverhampton, the New Forest owner is an absolute cuck.
Truly, the rich get richer.
Juice, because I only drink juice.
We got some typical Peking bullshit.
Here comes 5th place New Forest.
He's cagey, he gets on base, he's a consummate pro.
Warning, things are about to get weird. You're listening to the RFBL Report with your hosts, Bear and Pat Downsky.
I only realised when I was up in Wolverhampton, the New Forest owner is an absolute cuck.
Truly, the rich get richer.
Juice, because I only drink juice.
We got some typical Peking bullshit.
Here comes 5th place New Forest.
He's cagey, he gets on base, he's a consummate pro.
Warning, things are about to get weird.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the RFBL Report. I'm Pat Downsky, and joining me, the one, the only... I don't have a clever nickname this week, Bear.
Bad, tired, and disappointing.
The Sultan of Disappointing.
You know, I'm just like my team, an absolute disappointment, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. It is playoff time in the RFBL. We have our winners, we have our losers, some surprises as well, but I think people always want to know, what are we eating or drinking, Bear? Like, let's do a little bit of foreplay, some preamble first, if you will.
Well, I have some very sad news this week.
Uh-oh.
I've run out of juice.
Oh no.
Yep.
Is it a trucker protest where you're at, or? No, I'm kidding.
It's mostly because I drank it all in about 3 days.
Oh, you're an animal. But you're eating something though, aren't you? Like, you got something to keep you refreshed through this surely 3-hour podcast.
Oh yeah, I have this. So at work, I am known for one thing. I always come in with a box of cheesecake. In the UK, I don't know if it exists in Canada and the USA, but we have
cheesecake.
No, but it's a certain brand cheesecake. We have goo cheesecakes, and it's like this small little round glass ramekin thing. And you get.
Oh, okay. So it's like a personal cheesecake.
It's like a personal cheesecake, and you get 2 in a box. And every day I go into work, you always see me with a box of 2 goo cheesecakes, and I'll just sit there before we start any work, just smashing them out, you know.
So that horrifies me on a few levels. Like, I'm lactose intolerant. My body doesn't tolerate any of that. So the idea of sitting down and consuming 2 personal cheesecakes in a sitting before work, that horrifies me.
Oh, mate, it's fucking lovely. I always get.
I also am a little concerned about what English cheesecake is. Like, are there mushy peas somewhere in that?
We're not that insane yet.
Yeah, just wait. Someone's going to hear that and be up north, and they're going to be like, "Hey, what if I put it in a meat pie too?"
What if I deep fry the cheesecake?
What if I put it on a roll?
Can I have chips in that? Can I dip my chips in my in my cheesecake?
Oh yeah, that's how they have it in Manchester or something. I don't know. What have I got? I have a Nanaimo bar, and it occurred to me that you probably don't know what a Nanaimo bar is.
No, you keep telling me like, oh yeah, I have this Nanaimo bar, and I'm like, what the? And I go, yeah, and it just looks like some like chocolate bar type thing. I bet, you know.
No, it's not quite. It's actually a Canadian delicacy named after the city of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. And it's the crust is like a graham crumb coconut. Often they're made with nuts. Oh. Kind of a chocolate. They use cocoa in it as well. Kind of crust. Mm-hmm. And then there's a filling. It's like a 3-layer thing. Filling is some sort of custard buttercream. Traditional custard buttercream. And then the top is like a chocolate top. So it's like 3 layers. It's instant diabetes. Like your pancreas just gives up as soon as you indulge in these, but they are definitely something.
It sounds like a much better millionaire shortbread. Not gonna lie to you, mate.
There you go. I don't know what a millionaire shortbread is, but maybe it's just an English Nanaimo bar.
It's a much simpler Nanaimo bar. Ours is just like.
I'm also chasing it with some Tail Out Brewing Keenly Side Stout.
Oh yeah, you told me you had some. You got some stout.
Mm-hmm. I'm using this to fight off the coronavirus because got my test results and it's no longer Schrodinger's. The cat is dead and I have COVID. So if I start wheezing a bunch, if I start laughing, I'm sorry, but it's how it's going to be. I feel actually as good as I have in a week right now. So
any progress is good progress.
Absolutely. Let's talk some fake baseball, shall we?
I think that's what we're here for, rather than just a drink chair.
We can compare. We can compare notes on various cuisines and colonialism and all sorts of lovely things another time, I'm sure. But looking at these standings, some of this we called, some of it we didn't. It was in fact the year of the Man-Men, as we saw, as they weren't last. They weren't second last.
Yeah. In some divisions, you could argue they could have done even better than their scoreline.
It could have been a contender.
Could have been a contender.
They could have been contender. They could have been a contender. They had a better run differential than Montreal.
Yep.
They had some good performances, some not so good performances, but like Matt Hearn had a solid follow-up. They got a real good performance out of Tony Falcon as their closer. The offense went off a bit. Like, I don't know, all in all, like Tony Martinez, almost as advertised.
Yeah, the Man-Men finally made progress. And do you know what's the saddest part for the Man-Men? -6 Pythag differential.
Yeah. I'm -4 with the Castlegar River Kings. There's a few teams that are worse than that. Like I see Pyongyang, the People's Republic of Korea, they're -7. Peking, probably only out of a playoff spot right now because they're -7.
But
like
don't Google the Bears or the Kirkland signatures though.
You know what though? There's a way to game that. You have to. It's a way you build your team, and I think that Kirkland knows that. So. Outperforming the Pythag versus underperforming, I think that Castlegar probably there's something in the DNA there that makes them always be under Pythag, like always underperform their run differential. I think it's how I build a team. There's something I'm doing.
There's something in the water in Castlegar.
It's not fluoride. So, like, our final standings, we had surprisingly, like, we had Wuhan. We said Wuhan was probably the second best team in that division. Yep. We said Pyongyang was going to win that division no matter what. Probably the best team in the CL. And that didn't quite happen. They got a little unlucky this year. They blew everybody up with run differential, but a little unlucky. Wuhan took first place in that division. They did it with pitching. They had a really good pitching staff, like first in starter ERA, first in runs against in the conference. Really strong performance there.
Yeah.
I think that they are also poised to do well in the playoffs. But we shall see. The Zabbies, that was a team we both thought was on the up and up as well. I had them a little bit behind Wuhan because of those pitching additions. And I didn't think they were as good as Pyongyang, but they had a really strong season. They had... I guess the fourth best record in the CL. Like they had a better record than Castlegar. They had a really strong season. They had some MVP performances, and they definitely took off a bit.
Yeah, like Zabby's showing what they are made of. You know, like we both knew that like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was actually going to be a bloodbath this season.
I didn't think it was going to be this good of a bloodbath, though. Like, New Forest even had a winning record. Like, New Forest was over 500.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
The here comes 5th place New Forest is the here comes 4th place New Forest.
Oh, we're going to have to recut the intro.
Recut it. Right, let's roll it again.
But I just mean, like, okay, Now, I know the run differential is what it is. I know the Pythag record is what it is.
I'd like to...
But if you told me at the beginning of the season that New Forest and Peking would have the same record this year, I would have laughed.
I would have laughed as well.
In fact, I'm going to allow myself to laugh right now. No. It's still happening. I can't stop it. That is a surprise. I think probably because I had Peking rated much higher in the regular season. I thought they were going to have a much stronger season. And I didn't think New Forest was going to put it on like they did. But definitely a strong season, led by some unorthodox tactics, I would say.
What tactics would you say that were employed?
I'm just looking, and they don't seem particularly adept at scoring runs, and they don't seem particularly adept at preventing runs. The ERAs are really bad, and they don't seem to hit for average or power with particular aplomb, but they get on base and they steal bases. So,
and what have I said since I started this game? My plan is to get on base and steal bases. I'm not going to do anything else. Hit, run, and steal. That's that's
not going to win games. Not going to win games. I will say, unorthodox tactics and some unorthodox performances. Greg Flask being one. Dude was worth 3 wins above replacement, but somehow his results were that bad that he was negative value according to the RWAR.
Yep.
Like he had a 6.19 ERA. His BABIP was 360. His K rate dropped by 2 per 9, but like he didn't have as many home runs. Like he cut his home run rate significantly. His walk rate's about the same.
But that might be due to the ballpark differences between Minnesota or Minneapolis and the New Forest.
Yeah, you have to ask if that's worth like that much though. Like 60 points of BABIP? I don't know, man. I think that he could be better next season.
I would like him to be better next season.
I'm just looking, and it's just like his previous career high for BABIP was 343, so he beat that by 20 points.
What? So can I say unluckiest man joins unluckiest baseball team?
I think there's a few teams that would claim to be unluckiest. Steve Beasley would like a word. But let's flip leagues. We've kind of talked about the CL a bit here. The VL's where things got crazy. The Hero Spammer basically broke down as we expected. Mm-hmm. I think we had Beijing higher and Isle of Man lower, or we said the we said they were going to be higher than Beijing. But
it was going to be equal, wasn't it? It was a coin flip on Beijing and Isle of Man on, depending on what happens between the two teams.
I don't think either of us had Beijing as the worst team in the VL.
No.
I didn't see that coming. So I don't know if they were unlucky with injuries or just some performances. I of course drew Isaiah Griffin when my one meeting with Beijing this season and got a bit of a spanked bottom from that. Good strong pitching performance, but yeah, seems like the offense is a little soft. Looking at the Cold War division,
that is an absolute...
Did not turn out.
That is an absolute bath of a division.
The truest bloodbath, I think.
And I'd like to say, my 2 hot takes in that division have turned out true.
I think we both picked Kirkland as a potential dark horse. I don't think we got the extent of their dark horseness.
Nah, I was talking about Hannibal. Still making headway. You didn't like Hannibal and what they did in the off season, and
I did not. I did not, and
I still have belief in my not my boy, Trav's boy Cameron. You know.
Yeah, I see a team with plus 36 run diff. That's half of any of the teams that made it in the CL. Well, less than half. It's less than half of teams that didn't make it, like Peking. Like Peking looks over and sees that Hannibal's in the playoffs with arguably a worse season. Yeah, you can definitely you could say the same looking at Rain City. Rain City eked it out. I think they had a really soft second half. Like it seemed like they really got gassed, got in some injury trouble, and ran out of steam a bit in the second half. But you can look at those teams and where that happened in the division and kind of rue, especially if you're Sunnyvale. Like Sunnyvale, they didn't make the playoffs, and we both felt that they were the reigning champions. They made some big ads, didn't go anywhere.
No. But if you also look at if you compare the pre All-Star and then the post All-Star in that division, it's fairly even between Rain City, Hannibal, Sunnyvale, and Springfield.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Kirkland just went on a massacre, and New Jersey, as I predicted, weren't going to be doing so well this season. And the second half showed it, even though they did very well in the first half.
Oh yeah, I didn't think. Some teams kind of waved the white flag though, right? Like Springfield picked a direction early. They moved Jose Cano over to Pyongyang. Like that really signified where they were going to go with this. So it's not surprising that they're near the bottom there. I think New Jersey made some moves as well.
Yeah, they moved TJ Vasselman, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They picked a direction fairly early to try to get to the bottom of that division. And congrats, they did. Sunnyvale kind of waved the white flag at the deadline. Like they moved Wu.
Yep.
I believe they sent him to Pyongyang for some significant futures there. Springfield also moved another really good closer, Perry, over to Minneapolis there. So like they definitely, some of those teams got to where they are purposefully. On the flip side, Kirkland added big. They added Scott Kirkwood from Travdondo.
Yeah, they added 3 very experienced players, and look what it's done for them in that trade deadline.
Absolutely. And honestly, some of their free agent signings have really come out nicely. William Dryden.
Oh, yep.
The Kitchener Zabbies legend, one-time River King. He kind of rejuvenated his career a bit in Castlegar down the stretch after that deadline move, and he turned that into another 1-year deal with Soviet, and he kept the ball rolling, and now he's really leading that offense in Kirkland. He had 37 dingers this year, 3 wins, 120 OPS plus. That was a really savvy acquisition. I think Luis Campesano is not an elite shortstop. I don't think he's an elite shortstop, and I think this second year he's regressed a little bit offensively to not where he is wanted to be, but his glove is such. He's durable, he plays every day, he gets on base sometimes. Like there's enough there to keep you honest as a pitcher, and he is a Gold Glove caliber defender. I think that helps this team maximize a pitching staff that doesn't look to be the strongest out there, but has been good enough, especially when backed by the man in the bullpen. The man at the end of the bullpen.
The man at the end of the bullpen.
Powder, Hyun Jun Cho.
That is an unbelievable closer.
A 4-WAR closer. Dude's almost 200 ERA plus. He's got the best stuff that we have seen in the league. He throws 100. His fastball is almost unhittable. His slider, very much the same. Like, if there's any chance of hitting this guy, it's probably a power lefty.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's still minimal.
Right-handers don't have a chance. Left-handers, well, you got a little opportunity, but it's here nor there, is it?
Yeah, he's just erasing them at the back end of that one. But so we have that. We have an idea of our playoff matchups. If we want to, do you want to start with the VL?
Yeah, we can start with the VL.
Let's run through the first round, and then we'll start getting to perspectives, like what could happen. So if we're looking at the wild card is first,
yep.
Right? So what is the wild card here? We're seeing Rain City versus Hannibal?
Yep.
So this is one because everybody that's a participant kind of backed into the playoffs. Like both participants did not have a winning record post All-Star game. Hannibal's was 500. Rain City's was just below it, but neither of these teams had a particularly strong second half. I think with Rain City, some injuries slowed them down a bit. They lost a couple good relievers. Akiyama was hurt. Romero's hurt going into the playoffs, so is Akiyama. It's questionable whether any of those guys are going to come back in time to help them here. What do you think about Rain City?
Yeah, I think Rain City's going to have a chance. Left-handers don't have a chance. Left-handers, well, you got a little opportunity, but it's here nor there, is it?
A 4-WAR closer. 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 4-
well, I've got their roster up at the moment, and you look at the how many players are currently in a slump. At the moment, it's got 6 people in a slump. Romero is or also known as the Range, is out for 5 weeks. Akiyama out for 7 weeks now. Like, that team has been absolutely decimated in terms of form and injuries in the last month. You know.
Yeah, that's between those two players, they're losing 7 All-Star games. Like, that's 7-time All-Stars between the two players that we just mentioned.
Yeah,
that's tough. It is tough to come back from that, but there are a few reasons to be hopeful. Blaze Alexander has had a really strong season. Second half has not been as good as the first half, but he really can smack righties around. He's quite good against right-handed pitchers. I don't know that Hannibal, what does Hannibal's rotation look like? Is that a lefty-heavy rotation? They don't have a single lefty there. They only have one in their bullpen. So, that could be problematic. That could be problematic. Like, Rain City, they have a guy that rakes righties. There's no lefties coming in to shut that guy down a bit. And even if there were, Paul Tofting had a really strong season, 3.5 WAR, 122 OPS. He rakes lefties. He hits really good against righties too. Like, some of those players are still pretty good. They're gonna miss the guys they're missing. Like, you cannot lose a 356 OPS number 2 hole hitter and one of your few power sources. There's only 3 or 4 power bats in this lineup for Rain City, and losing one of them stings. So they're gonna feel that. But is it going to be enough to tank them?
If you look at the head-to-head for the season, Hannibal have had Rain City's number. I think it's 10. Hannibal won 10 games to 8, I think it is. And Hannibal have, I think, if I remember looking a moment ago, have the best bullpen in the Virgin League.
They do, surprisingly enough. They have the best bullpen ERA. They're second in starter ERA. Their pitching staff is the bread and butter. I think what I'm looking at is Rain City is no slouch there either. They have some pretty good starting pitching. One of them is Raymond Werfel. And he had an okay first half, but he came on strong in the second half. Werfel has been lights out. He's now probably a front runner for the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Is this dude going to carry in his first shot at the playoffs? Stranger things have happened.
The thing you have to think about, though, is postseason is a different beast to the regular season.
It definitely is. But I'm looking at this, and
all to ever look at is every season the Redondo Beach 6Ks at the time would go 100 wins in a regular season, and then they'll face Travis, which was usually the case, and then get knocked out by Travis's 2-1 Neons. And Redondo would come out with a new meme to show his disappointment that the 6Ks have thrown the season away once again.
Okay. So let's take a different approach then. If we don't love Rain City, if we look at that and we're like, they got hurt by injuries, we don't think necessarily that some of their pitchers just coming back from injury or guys that are pretty young, we don't know that they're ready to win a playoff series yet. What are we liking about the Hannibal roster? Because keeping in mind, they've gotten raked over the coals of some injuries here too. Matt Smeltz, day-to-day, it's affecting his throwing. I don't know that pitching him is the best call, but he's probably one of their best 4 starters. And he's the veteran there. He's won a ring. He's a player that Hannibal's going to have to lean on here to keep it up. Miyamoto's hurt. He's not going to be here in time for this series, probably not the next series either. Jacob Douglas is going to be missing a couple weeks here with a strained oblique. It can take guys a little bit of time to come back from that, especially in their early 30s. He's missing his starting left fielder, who was shockingly effective, leadoff guy, Sechu Lario, Gold Glove winner, like he was having a career season, and he's out. So like looking at who replaced him, Michael Carmichael kind of sucks. It's a fun name to say, but like he's not good. So like there's definitely some degradation there. And for an offense that was 10th in runs scored out of 12 teams, and like 12th in home runs, like they were 23rd in home runs overall.
But
they're not like they have a high batting average for sure. I question if there's enough offensive upside there.
You have to think of it this way. The game is won if you manage to score more runs than the other team. You don't have to score that many runs to win sometimes. Sometimes you just need that one run, and that's it. And for Hannibal, with their pitching staff, which is one of the shown to be statistically this regular season one of the best, is help.
Remember when I said
to bail out
Melvin Silva?
The offense.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. But do you remember when I said Melvin Silva? You always want to see more out of Melvin Silva?
Yep.
He's had a hell of a year this year. Still would like to see more out of him.
Still want more.
But I hear what you're saying, and honestly, my prediction on this series, I think Rain City can win if Wurfel goes ham. If they're pitching, see, I think that the gap between Hannibal's pitching and Rain City's pitching is smaller than the gap between Hannibal and Rain City's offense. I think Rain City is a much better offense. Whether that's the same without those players, I'm not sure. But the way Rain City could win is their pitch is good enough that their offense difference carries. How Hannibal, I think, wins is the pitching carries. And if you picked one player, one batter, who's the scariest batter in this series, if you pick two batters who are the scariest of either team in this series, who you got?
Well, for Hannibal, you got the informed Chris Conks. Everybody knows the man, myth, the legend in the centre field. Matt's currently on a hot streak. As you can see on my screen here, the last 5 games he's managed at least one hit, multiple hits against Sunnyvale, and then you got Osamu Seki. Absolute.
That was the second guy.
Absolute smasher of a player.
Yeah, so like if I look on either roster, the 2 guys that I am most set are going to have a huge series. If I have a need a guy that's going to break that open and get me that run so my pitching staff shuts her down, Osamu, Chris Klontz.
Yeah.
Two Hannibal players. So, yeah.
See, whereas for Rain City, you have Blaze Alexander and Paul Tofting. Unfortunately, Jesus Romero is out. He's been a standout guy for Rain City. And even Akiyama. Akiyama has a very good OPS plus, 128. So those 2 guys are going to be very, very well missed. And I think I said earlier, 4 weeks and 7 weeks, both of them out. That's the whole entire postseason.
Yeah, so if my prediction on this one, and I think you're going to be with me on this, I think Hannibal in 5. I think the injuries to Rain City, if they were healthy, I think maybe it would nudge their direction. But as it stands, Hannibal's pitching is better. Their bullpen is better. And they probably have the 2 most dynamic offensive players in this series. I think that's enough. Even if the depth doesn't look the best, I think they have enough to definitely. I think they're going to triumph this one.
Yeah, I reckon Hannibal will win 4-3. I reckon it's going to be a very tight series, and Hannibal will take it in the seventh game of the series.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one, the wild card game, I believe is
it's
best
actually
of 5.
Oh my god, it's going to be 3-2 then, isn't it? I forgot. For some reason, I just thought it was like 7 series throughout, and it's fucking 5, isn't it?
No, we're gonna flip on you later, and then it's gonna really fuck you up. All right.
Oh no.
Let's flip over to the CL for the wild card.
Year of the Gar.
Kazakar Kitchener.
Year of the Gar.
I don't know if it's the year of the Gar. Again, as mentioned with the other series.
Remember when I said year of the Gar last time?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I had to beat the Bears to get there. Both teams here had a losing record post All-Star break as well. The Zabbies 34-38. The River Kings 35-37. I think the Zabbies ran into some injury trouble. Definitely missing some key performers down the stretch. I don't know what the River Kings' problem was. It seemed like just a run of one inning, like extra inning and one-run losses. Just the Razors' edge on a bunch of those. But as mentioned, that's just a thing that happens in the Castlegar. So key injuries, I'm looking over the GAR roster. They're missing Pedro Diaz at DH. He's a left-hander. He often bats 2 for this club. He can steal a bag. He's a fan favorite. A little bit of gap power, a little bit of home run, a little bit of eye. Generally a roughly average hitter. But he provides some pop, some depth, lengthens the lineup. He's got a ring too. He's been there. We're also missing Muscles Dunn. And that one hurts a lot. That's Castlegar's leadoff hitter. There's nobody that cleanly slots in there quite as nicely, and he's having a hell of a year. 3.5 wins above replacement. He's looking like a Gold Glove center fielder at 12.5 zone rating. He steals. He's their biggest stolen base threat. He's 37 stolen bases to 2 caught. So like that's a bear kind of player, and he walks. He doesn't hit the ball. He doesn't have the bat to ball skills, but he walks a lot, almost 100 times this year, 96 times. So they're gonna miss that guy. He's out 3 weeks. He could be back if they go on a run, but they're gonna miss their center fielder for sure. And Danny Moreno, the man who was struck down in the middle of a no-hitter, he's going to be out for another 4 months. So he was actually pretty important down the stretch last year for Castlegar in making the playoffs. And when we look a little closer at the pitching staff here, you can tell that they're going to miss that guy too. On Kitchener's side, they're missing TJ Wasserman. Not for very long. He's only out a couple more days with that torn thumb ligament injury. The problem there is, how is he going to come back? Are the Zabbies going to try and get him some rehab time? I think the AAA playoffs are already over, so it's questionable whether there's going to be an avenue even to get him some rehab time, get him some reps in.
Yeah, the off season for the AAA has just started, so you either have to throw him in at deep end or just hold him back slightly, you know.
I think if the alternative is Hugo Sarabia, then you just throw him in, because like Wasserman was raking, like Silver Slugger kind of level of raking, yep. And that's in the league with Badarov. Like if Badarov wasn't playing like that this year, then Wasserman would probably have it. So he's like a top 2 bat at that position right now, and even if he comes back at only 80%, say 80% of Wasserman is like 140% of Sarabia. So like I'd be starting him. Matt Sullivan helps them stretch out their rotation a bit, because like I don't like Gerard Maury. I don't think he's a good pitcher, and I don't think he's ever been a good pitcher, but he has a bunch of wins this year. He has played some innings with some, like he gets out there. He's a rubber-armed guy. He's better than he has any right to be, but like ideally you would not be starting that guy, and they probably won't. They're going to move to a 4-man rotation. They're going to shorten it up, but like that's a player that could be ripe for the picking.
Matt Sullivan looks like such a vanilla fucking type pitcher, and they just
I like Sullivan a bit. He's got some spin. He throws weird, like he throws goofy. He really bowls the googly.
He bowls the googly. He has the change up as well. He bowls the googly.
Yeah, he throws. He has weird splits. Like he really struggles versus lefties, but he's actually really effective versus righties. So it's just the sidearm delivery, you know. I think he's a good enough player. Like that's a player that I think's good. He holds runners well. Like it's stronger than the collection of parts, you know.
Yeah,
especially when you've got a lockdown catcher who's a plus framer, you know.
Yeah, that helps you quite a bit, doesn't it? It just makes your life a little easier.
But they're missing too. They're missing Minzong Zai, who's having a real breakout, 131 OPS plus, like potential silver slugger in center field. He's 3.5 WAR as well. So both teams missing their center fielders. The Zabbies could get their guy back. He's only going to be out a week with that elbow strain, but like it's questionable whether he's going to be back in time for this series. So if they make it through here, he could definitely be a factor these playoffs. If they struggle versus Castlegar, he's not going to be there to help them.
Yeah.
But Listen, you look at these teams, they are basically evenly matched. I know the Zabbies had a better record during the regular season. They have the almost identical run difference. 87 for Castlegar, 85 for Kitchener. They're roughly, like, Castlegar's 4th in runs scored, Kitchener's 5th. Castlegar's 4th in runs against, Kitchener's 2nd. Like, 3 and 4, 2 and 4, 2. Like, they're very, very evenly matched. So I think this series could go anywhere.
The thing I have for the Zabbies is their pitching is average. I find their offense is quite average. It's very reliant on one player, in my opinion, and that's Genzaburo Kurisu.
Yeah, he's having himself an MVP caliber season. He is blowing up that baseball.
If Van de Putte was not playing, or just had a regular season, Kurisu will be gunning for that MVP title.
What a coup. He got that guy in the 5th round, 100th pick overall in 2035. 161 OPS plus, almost 8 WAR, 7.9 WAR. He is blowing up the ball this year, and it's impressive. I think you're underrating the Zabby pitching staff, Bear.
Am I?
And here's why. I think you are. Because here's why. Alex Gonzalez has been injured most of the season. He was out. He ripped his body up last year. He had a UCL that was torn. He was out 12 months. He is a fan favorite. He's a quality veteran. He's a 2-time Holland winner. I think he won it before it was named the Holland Trophy. He's a Rookie of the Year, a Gold Glover, a 8-time All-Star. Like, he's been there. He's had some postseasons too. He's been in, like, I think 8 postseasons as part of that Oslo team that was a perennial contender. In his underlying numbers don't look that amazing, but he was 1.3 R-WAR in 90 innings this year. Like, that's good enough. That's solid, especially when you have a team that doesn't have anyone who's done there before. That's how the Zabbies lose. They have a young roster with not a lot of guys that have contributed on a playoff team. You're down to Gonzalez and Wei King Su. Wei King Su won some rings with Castlegar. He's been an MVP of a playoff series. Those are the 2 dudes that have been there before. You don't have any other proven playoff performers, and I had this problem with my River Kings. Is I had a young team, I had a very skilled team, I had a guy who was having historic seasons too, like Alex DeLeon. Like that Kurisu season, Kurisu looks a lot like a DeLeon season, and more plate discipline, few less dingers, but he is a stud. And the team just could not go anywhere in the playoffs until there were some guys that figured out how to get there. So I'm just saying this team could stumble going in there as it is a young team. But I think that rotation, like we're talking, they had the 3rd best starter ERA in the league. And I think they did it in the aggregate. Armando Cordova is a candidate for the Holland Trophy. He has had a phenomenal season, 155 ERA plus, 287 ERA. Like he's an 84 fit minus. He's 16% better than your average pitcher. He does it through being just spinning the ball and keeping it on the ground. And I think that he could carry this series. He could be a big factor in the rotation, and the rest of them just have to be solid. Harry Fenton does the same thing. He keeps the ball down. Jerry Bradley, he's another guy. He's a lefty. Tries to keep the ball down. Like a lot of these guys are okay movement players, and their goal is just to keep the ball down in that Kitchener ballpark where the ball flies 300 feet and it's a homer.
Yeah.
Whoa, sorry.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just look at the Zabbies and I guess it's similar to like the Main City and Hannibal. Well, definitely Hannibal, to be honest, where the pitching is very, very up there. Even though I'm not such a believer in the Zabbies pitching, and then they have a couple of guys who contribute offensively and helps them to just grind out those victories, you know?
Yeah, that's fair, but like the thing is the team's built that way. Like, you have to look, they have a really strong bullpen. They have the 2nd best bullpen ERA in the CL, and it's led by Junseo Kim. The dude, he's one of the better relievers.
Right.
He doesn't always show up. He doesn't always get the All-Star game love. He rarely wins the trophy, but I think he is a very good relief pitcher, and he helps lock that down at the back end. He led the CL in saves this year.
I think the best way to is to visualize it. You're on the Zabbies right now, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I'm looking at their team.
Right. So if you look at that ERA plus, nearly every single pitcher is above 100 ERA plus. There's only two that
that's good.
There's only two that aren't.
Yeah, but that's good. You want high ERA plus. You want
that's the insane thing about it. Like, if you look at my shitty team, nearly every fucker's under 100, you know? And then you got...
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what to tell you, man. Zabby has this way of finding...
Zabby has the magic touch.
On bullpen arms especially. Kitchener's had a good bullpen year after year, and it's hilarious because I go, where are you finding these guys? 'Cause I don't know.
Yeah,
they just pop out of the system. Like, okay.
They just exist.
You sign a dozen guys in to minor league deals in the spring and hope that a couple make it through, and there you go. I've hunted with some success on the waiver wire sometimes. Like, you can find cromulent pitchers, but there you go. This guy's got it down to an art. All right, so if we're looking at this, they're basically identical. The biggest gap for me is that the Zabbies pitching has been just a little bit more effective, and the River Kings offense scares me a little bit more. I think the big difference there is that the Zabbies tend to have a higher batting average, and the River Kings hit the ball harder. Second in the league in home runs. They have some power in that lineup. So if I'm wondering if this is going to get it, both have homer-prone ballparks, and let me tell you, I'm not super stoked to be pitching. I have my guys pitching to Kurosu in my park.
Okay.
I think he's going to go off.
I think you need to find that it depends on the players around Kurosu. One man's not going to be able to carry the entire offense. Let's be honest. By the time we go back to this, he's probably proved me wrong, and I'll be like, oh god, here we go again.
I think he can. So if we're saying how do the Zabbies win this? They keep the ball down. They limit the amount of home runs Castlegar can get.
Yeah.
And their stars carry. Like Kurosu is an MVP. He generates a run a game, let's say, at least a run a game. That's big. Cordova, Holland caliber starting pitcher, and he's coming in hot. If he pitches 2 of 5 potential games and wins both, that's huge. You only need 3 to win.
Yeah, you just need that one win.
Exactly. And the Kim, best reliever on either team.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to lock it down. So the thing is, if this gets into a close games, Zabbies are going to win the series.
I think the series will come down to who has the better bullpen, and we both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know as well as I we know what Castlegar bullpen is usually like. So
now, how does Castlegar win? Don't let it be close.
Yeah,
there's some strong performers here, and there's playoff hardened vets. I think you need to keep that in mind. This is a veteran team. Victor Torres is a 5-time playoff MVP. This is his time to shine. He had a really uncharacteristically bad season for him. He hit 40 home runs. Danny Gutierrez hit 50 home runs. Lewis Jenkins had a massive bounce back. Fringe MVP candidate. He had a whole bunch of dingers, 34 of them. There is some significant power up and down this lineup, even for guys that had bad seasons like Matt Ropp. I think this is a powerful lineup. The Zabbies pitching, if it keeps the ball down and avoids those dingers, that's going to be a massive in their favor.
It's basically offense versus defense matchup.
A little bit, but it's both teams can slug, and both teams can pitch a bit. The River Kings, the lineup is not the scariest part of this team. Their pitching has been what's really carried them here. And if you look, there are 4 starters. Mike Arias could have won the Holland last year if voters were smarter. I'm kidding. I had to say that for Oliver. Mika Perry could win it this year. He probably won't, because there will be some reason why he can't. But
Because he plays
like,
Pyongyang.
he's probably second. Like, truthfully, Hegon Park is probably going to win it. Could be the Pyongyang guy, Chuang. But like Mika Perry is probably top 3 for the Holland Trophy this year. Probably also the Rookie of the Year. That dude's headlining the rotation. So we have a Cordova versus Perry at the top, and then you start looking at the others. Arias, Skinner, those two, I think those stack up favorably against the Zabbies guys. Corey Rice, I'm not sure how this is going to go. It could go very badly. He gives up a lot of dingers. He has led the league in home runs allowed every season he's been in the majors, but he also regularly leads the league in strikeouts, Ks per 9, base on balls per 9. Like, it's very much. He's gonna get hit.
It's very hit and miss.
But how many people are on base? How many people are on base for him to get hit?
Yeah. A very much hit and miss pitcher in it.
Yep. And we'll criticize the Gar bullpen. It's fourth in ERA for the CL.
Which is quite unusual for the Gar.
They've been quietly good. Like, there's still a lot of those meltdowns and blow-ups, so they're not consistent in that regard. Like, they are very prone to blow-ups, but they do eat a lot of innings, and they can be effective. Like, getting back Eric Murray ahead of time so that there's 2 quality lefty relievers there. Carlos Cota, Snaggletooth being the other. Probably pretty big for Castlegar. That's like dropping a very strong reliever into that mix to help settle down that bullpen.
Yeah.
And shortening it so you're only really using your good ones. That's going to help. That is going to help. And here's my prediction is that if the games are close, Kitchener wins the series. If the games are not close, Castlegar runs away with it.
Yeah. I would certainly agree with that assessment.
If I'm putting a number on it, I'm going to say Castlegar in 5. And the reason there is proven playoff performers.
I reckon it'd be 3-1 Gar.
You think Castlegar in 4?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man!
I mean, the Zabbies have been losing to the Bears quite badly this season, and I don't believe my Bears team is that good, and the Gar is much better than the Bears. So, especially when it comes to hitting home runs.
We will see, right? Like, anything could happen because, like, in the playoffs, one guy can carry. Like, I can remember Jeremy Bird winning a playoff series for the former Motor City.
Fucking Jeremy Bird, man.
Guns. And you want an X factor on this series?
Yeah.
Here's some insider information.
Ooh.
Juan Velez, the number 2 prospect in the majors, will be making his debut.
Ooh. Fancy.
That's a spicy one.
Juan Velez. That's a bear move right there.
It is a Gar move. Gar has been running rookies in the postseason for several runs now. That's where Mika Perry was.
Yep.
Danny Moreno. That's Luis Nava when he broke through. Dave Garza. These guys all got a start in the postseason, David Price style, before coming in. This is my first time I'm going to do it with a hitter, so we'll see how it goes. But that could be an X factor.
Yeah.
He could be a better hitter than Pedro Diaz.
It can go one of 2 ways. It can go really badly, or it can go really well.
Well, the thing is, with losing an outfielder and a DH, it was like there were some at bats that were up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I could either run a better defensive outfield, or I could try to get some extra offense out of it. And I'm going to try and see if I can weasel it.
Just squeeze as much as you can out.
I think I'm going to need it. Kurosu's going to go off. And I'm very, very worried about Cordova. Very worried about Cordova. Alternatively, like, hey, things could get crazy. We could be living in the darkest timeline, and maybe Kinfu Coyote is the most important player of this series. The shortstop who's good, but not. 32 dingers this year. Like, maybe that dude hits 3 or 4 dingers in a series, and we're laughing about this. I don't know, but, like, we'll see who the unlikely heroes are. I think for the Zabbies, if I'm picking an X factor, I think Wei Qing Su is the X factor. Kurosu is obviously the most important player, but I think a guy like Aziv or Wei Qing Su, if they have like a strong playoff to be like a secondary offensive threat, that's going to go a long way.
Oh yeah, it's just going to be a matter of who can get the upper hand in the first game or two, and whoever does will win the series.
Yep. So let's flip back over. Let's go back. Let's do this so nobody can figure out what the hell we're talking about ever. Let's go to a best of 7 series that we know what's happening. Kirkland, Halifax. Who you got?
I reckon it's going to be Kirkland.
You run me through the board, Bear. Where are you coming up with this?
I think with what Kirkland added in the trade deadline, it bolstered like areas where some might argue where they might needed improvements. So Duhon Lee is ERA 6.09. If you look at the old metric of wins and losses, I know you hate it because it done me buckle. But he's actually won 5 and not lost a game with an ERA of 6 this season, or 6 at Kirkland. Scott Kirkwood in the bullpen, holding.
Well, he's just kind of plugged in to be a really strong, like high use middle reliever, setup guy. Like
yeah, like the only big issue is for like offensively. Kirkland are very good all round. There's no real superstar. There's three very good people. We got William Dryden, as we spoke about earlier.
Roger Marshall, a really weirdly good season.
Yep, Roger Marshall's doing much better than I'm sure anybody anticipated. Takafumi Hirota doing very well.
He's doing some yeoman's work.
Darren Bolts, like he's getting contributions everywhere in that on outfield. It doesn't matter where you're playing. You can be shortstop. His shortstop's doing well, like getting some runs in. You know.
Yeah, that's Capasano. We talked about him before. Capasano, really good glove. He's not having a great offensive season, but like he's doing enough.
Yeah, he's doing enough where if you need that run, he can do it. You know, the only issue for Kirkland is the pitching, but Halifax, I don't know.
Okay. Here's the thing.
It's Joel, I know, so...
Okay. I think Kirkland, their team, is built for dick punching.
I love dick punching.
I look at these two teams, and I look at them on paper, and it's like Halifax should... they should be dummying them.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Halifax should obliterate them. But the best team doesn't always win, do they?
The game is not...
There's factors. There's variables.
It's played on a field.
Yeah, the game is played on a field, not on a spreadsheet, nerds. But the thing is like, doesn't Kirkland feel like a team that's gonna just be bullshit in the playoffs? Like, doesn't that feel like the Beijing of 2040? Like, they're gonna bunt and steal bases and walk and manufacture runs, but in a smart way. And they've got a lockdown bullpen, and Powder's just gonna, like, he's gonna pitch 6 innings this series and not give up a run. Like, I would love to say, well, I don't have any favorites in this horse race, but I just mean, I look at the Halifax offense. 3rd in runs scored. They're 3rd in home runs. They're 5th in stolen bases. They get on base. They make contact with the ball. Like, it's a strong offense. And they've got some injuries, like Jose Lara being hurts. Luis Villanueva, like, he should be back, could be day to day, but like they're banged up a bit. Kirkland isn't really. I think, like, my call on this one, I'm saying Kirkland in 7. And I think it's what you said. They get contributions up and down the lineup. They've got 2 or 3 reasonable starters that you have a chance to win. They're good defensively, although they make a lot of errors.
Yeah.
It's weird. A team that's got that much range and is that good defensively makes a lot of errors. But they have the best closer in the game who's carrying. They just have to hope that their manager doesn't go full Buck Showalter and hold them back in case. Got to hold them for the save opportunity.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thing. Can they survive if Halifax have a barrage?
That's it right there. This to me is like Kirkland's built to be an upset team, but they could just get obliterated because Halifax has good players.
Yeah.
Like, I think Halifax is really strong. If Roger James has a good playoff, Murakami bounces back a little bit. He's had a troublesome year after being really strong for there. Yasuda's a quality vet. Like, he's got some guys. They're a little dinger prone. I think Roger James is really definitely the ace of those. If he pitches really good and the offense carries, like, Kirkland could get just wiped. But, like, I'm looking at this, and Halifax's 2 best pitchers, Murakami and James, are lefties. Kirkland plays up versus lefties. This is weird for Halifax. They normally get to play teams that can't hit lefties, right? So having an opportunity here where they have to play a team that actually gets better versus lefties could throw them a curveball. And I think that's part of what Kirkland's going to do to get ahead here.
Yeah, it's going to be the matter of the fact that Kirkland needs to hope in the first 7 innings they're drawing or winning, and then their bullpen can just see out the game, especially if they can nick a run, if they're drawing or just hold it together. But saying that, you know what Halifax is always capable of, like. Of course, their record is not as good as Kirkland, but they always get contributions from everybody in their pitch and stuff. And maybe not as their
I got one for you.
bullpen's not as strong as Kirkland's, but it was still.
I see.
It was still.
That's the thing, though, Bear. Isn't it? Like, they made trades too. They picked up Tyler Sims. He has been really good in Halifax, and he's a nice weapon at the back. They picked up Faith Benzyme, and again, like, he's left-handed. He throws hard. He's got a good attitude. Like, he's bouncing back a bit with Halifax. Like, they picked up some arms for the bullpen at the deadline. Mm-hmm. You start looking like Mark Bottomley could be a closer on some teams. And you're not even getting into it. Olve Nielsen, 6-time reliever of the year.
Ooh.
Like, yes, I get it. Kirkland's Cho is the new hotness. Like, Cho looks like the best reliever. Olve Nielsen might not be that guy anymore, but he used to be, and he's still real quality. This is the quality veteran. He's got a ring. He's won some hardware. Don't bet against this guy being a factor.
Yeah, it is like just turn up in the postseason and just go completely lights out for the entire series. That's just that'd be something I would like to expect from him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I think Kirkland in 7. That's what I said before.
Yep. I reckon it's going to be 4-1 Kirkland.
Wow. That's some hot takery.
Now I'm going to get the button because I just said Halifax are going to lose.
Oh yeah, you're getting buttoned so hard.
Well,
so now we got the 7 gamer in the. So when you said in 5, mm-hmm. you knew that was in best of 7, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just checking. Our formatting's a little confusing to me. So
I made sure looking at the playoff tree, so I couldn't make the same mistakes I did last time.
All right, Wuhan versus Pyongyang. Who you got?
See, this is probably the closest series out of all of them.
Hmm.
I reckon it's going to be Wuhan. As much as I love the offense of Pyongyang, I think Pyongyang, if they were facing the Zabbies or River Kings, they will destroy either teams. But I feel like Wuhan's pitching, especially their starters, are probably one of the second best in the league, apart from the Minneapolis Monkeys.
That's probably fair. I don't disagree with any assessment there.
And the bat side, like, even though their offense is not as good as Pyongyang's, it's still very strong. It's all right. It's nothing to turn your nose at. It's not outstanding, but with the pitching that they got, especially in their rotation, it's more than adequate to get what they need.
All right, so my prediction model on this. The thing is that Wuhan has the very best in preventing runs.
Yeah.
In the CL. The tops right there. Very middling offense. Kind of equals out to about the same place that Pyongyang is. So you're right. Pyongyang's second in offense, third in runs against. Really like their offense, but they're beat up. I think that's a factor for me. Because, Pyongyang's beat up. They're missing some starters. They're down 2 starters. Maurice Gerlach kind of sucks, but he was having an okay year. He was coming back. Kong Chang, done. His career's probably over at this point at age 37. Really sad. Bears legend. They're missing a closer like Nicky Gillum. Wasn't having the best season, but that's another dude that's injured. They're missing bullpen depth in Gonzalez. They're paying that guy $9 million, and he's out too. And Bernal, in right field, a 40-homer bat. He's got back stiffness. It's going to affect his hitting. It's going to affect his running. He didn't have the best season altogether, but he's still a credible power threat and a good defender. But is that gonna hurt his defense? Is he going to be effective? They are beat up. And I think that's going to catch up to them. I think it's possible if both teams were healthy, Pyongyang might win. The offense might be enough to carry. They blew me up so many times in the playoffs. It's a good team. It is a good hitting team. They are hard to pitch to. I keep thinking that lefties help, but they have a great record versus lefties.
See, for me, I like to compare these teams when they play against me to see how they'll play. You know what I mean? So whenever I looked at Pyongyang, when I played Pyongyang, amazingly my team actually fared much better than it has for the last 5 seasons against Pyongyang. I think I actually have a winning record against Pyongyang this season, which is
wow.
Whereas playing against Wuhan, I get absolutely fucking hammered. It's painful. I'm looking at this game against the last game we played in the season. The New Forest Bears managed to score 5 runs in the 9th innings. And that's not a New Forest thing, let's be honest here. Normally we just drips and draps. So yeah, Pyongyang, this is not their season. There's too many injuries, there's too many slumps. You could argue they might have been quite lucky to make the playoffs.
I see. I'm looking at them, and they're underperforming Pythag by so much.
You see, the issue I have with Pythag, it's all based on run differential.
Yeah, but you got a team that scored almost 200 runs more than it's allowed. You know what I mean? What that number represents is that they've been one of the very strongest teams all year. Third best run differential in the league.
Yeah.
So like
but that just shows to me that they can make sure teams are finished off, but when it comes to losing games, they're losing close games. They're not seeing it out if they're leading or.
Well, okay. Hold on a second here, because like let's break this down. Because I would say when I was doing prep on this, I was looking into the team. The bullpen's vulnerable. I think in losing some relief arms to injury, it was vulnerable. They went out and they made that trade though. Mm-hmm. They brought in Wu Wu, Mad Bomber. He only pitched 20 innings for them. It was worth about a win. Saved 13 games. Like that, he had a 207 ERA plus, 55 FIP minus. Like the dude was dealing at the back. And then when you're bumping down a guy like Lang Quing Lee, you're bumping, like he acquired that guy too. He hasn't played great for Pyongyang, which is super weird, but like he's gonna figure it out. He's not gonna keep walking 5 guys per 9. He's not gonna keep having a 406 BABIP. Like he's not gonna turn everyone into Ted Williams when they face him. He's gonna be good. So like when you're talking about Sanchez, Lee, Wu at the back of that group, when like Jai McCarver's just a guy doing some yeoman work in there, like that's a really strong bullpen. When you looked at, he dropped top prospect Alex Tamez into the rotation down the stretch and he pitched good. That's a deep rotation. Yep. I think we probably get caught up in watching them just hit the ball. Like, you want to know the terrifying truth or watch me sock some dingers? I think we normally, when we look at Pyongyang, we say, dingers, please. Hey. They're actually a pretty good pitching team.
So 7 dingers. Like, their offense is contributing in every single facet as well.
They're hard to pitch around, I can assure you.
Yeah, I bet you can assure me. until they,
I will say,
until they go to the Bears ballpark and they can't hit home runs because the fence is a little bit too far for them.
I will say, I keep coming back with this idea that they're weak versus lefties.
Yep.
Their record is never weak versus lefties. But I gotta say, look at the team. Look at the hitters. They have a bunch of guys. I think they have 6 or 7 that are over 100 OPS plus versus right-handed pitchers. They have like 3 or 4 that are over 100 OPS plus versus left-handed pitchers. Now, granted, some of those guys are their very best hitters, like Boris Yafrikov.
Yep.
You cannot pitch around Boris Yafrikov. You can't just split him. That was very smart to move on from him. But like, he's a really hard out. To me, he's David Ortiz. Like, I can't. Good luck. You can use a lefty. You have a slightly better odds, maybe, but like he's gonna hurt.
He's gonna find a way.
He's gonna do some damage. Yeah, bombs away. I still, at the end of this, I think Pyongyang is a team that is positioned, even if they kind of lack some power. I think they're well positioned.
Yep.
I think they're well positioned to manufacture some runs. They got some speed in the lineup. They get on base a bit. Like, they don't score the most runs. They don't have the most power. They're fairly middling all around, but they're smart base runners. They steal bases. They're opportunistic. And it's frustrating to play against. And I think with the pitching staff they have assembled, 1 through 4, because you're dropping the 5th. Albert Luna sucks. Like, he's been pitching real bad for them. But if you can, again, like the Castlegar bullpen, you drop the 5th starter either into the bullpen as a usable arm, or you just drop them all together. You drop your bottom 3 arms in the bullpen, so you're not even really using those guys. All of a sudden, things look a lot stronger. Like, I think it's going to be hard to hit against these guys, and Pyongyang's going to score their runs. It's possible. I think it's very possible Wuhan edges them out on that front. I think Brent Gurley is going to have a real strong series.
Oh, yep.
Like, I shouldn't say that strong. Like, when you look at Pyongyang's rotation, like, he could struggle against Wang, Ma Huang Wang, but like, he's definitely gonna get his chances versus Alex Tamez, Chuang, Gonzalez, like whoever makes it to that rotation.
Yeah, he's just gonna tee off if he sees the opportunity.
I think the key for Wuhan is to keep their starters in the game as long as possible, control play when they got their starters in, and try to steal enough runs that they can give up some in the bullpen, because I think the bullpen is definitely where they're weakest. If Alex Castillo can't go, he can't find it, I think that's a weak spot for Wuhan, especially compared to some of the top-end arms on Pyongyang. Ayala has been really strong, but I just mean, like, I'm not saying Wuhan's bullpen's bad, but I think that Pyongyang might have the edge there. So they need to use their starters.
Would you say it's similar to Halifax versus what's its face, Kirkland, where if Pyongyang gets a lead, they will hold it?
I don't have that much faith. I like, basically, when I'm saying that I like their bullpen, I like their bullpen if they regress to the mean.
Right.
Like, if Ernesto Sanchez
if there's no chaos in the world, the Pyongyang bullpen is peak.
Okay, so here's one for you. Lan Qing Lee. He paid a price.
Yep.
To Newfoundland for this guy. Pre-arb. Like, he got this guy young. He's not even at his upside yet. 25, young guy. He went from a 291 ERA plus and a 69 FIP minus in Newfoundland earlier this year to 69 ERA plus and 69 FIP minus. So by FIP minus and by FIP hasn't really changed.
Yep.
He's not pitching better, is not pitching worse. By ERA plus, he's pitching 230% worse. Like 221% or something, 228%. Like 200% worse. I'm betting on this player to figure it out.
Oh, yes, he's going to. Like, he's young. He pitched extremely well at Newfoundland. Like, it's all about adapting, isn't it?
If he keeps sucking, like this year, like, we know he's going to be good again. Mm. Is he going to be good again this season? That's the question we should be asking.
Yeah. Because will he find his capability? And if he does, that's going to make a whole.
Oh yeah. Then they've got 2 or 3 closers, right?
Yeah. Like most teams only have like one closer, maybe even none. Pyongyang.
You've been looking at Castlegar again, eh?
Pyongyang have 3.
Yeah. Castlegar has no closers. They have several stoppers.
The Bears have a stopper.
There you go. So my call on this one was, I said Wuhan in 7. I don't know that I don't know that I want to stick by that one after talking it through. But I've convinced myself that the injuries and the injuries to Pyongyang and the pitching staff at Wuhan are going to carry.
I reckon it's Wuhan in 5.
Wow. And you know that this is a 7-game series, yep. Right? Okay. I'm just making sure our hot takes are consistent, sir. What do we got here? We got so next best of 7. Let's stick to the CL. Washington versus either Castlegar or Kitchener.
So we both said Gar, didn't we?
We did, but I think it was close. I think it's enough that we would, if we thought that there was a difference here between them.
I don't think it matters because Washington are going to destroy both of them anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry to hurt you.
Year of the Gar changed real fast, hey?
Yeah, you know me. I like to meme. I am king of the memes. This is where Castlegar actually do win it through, like Sunnyvale last year, when I said the year of the Vale and the Vale.
Now I don't want to throw you off your chi here, sir, but the River Kings won that season series.
Ooh.
The Zabbies did not, but the Zabbies have a postseason all-time record of 8-5 versus Washington. So you could expect maybe Castlegar to play up, or you could expect the Zabbies to throw a dick punch. But there's reason for optimism. Now, I say that, and my prediction would be that Washington obliterates whoever.
Yeah.
Mostly because the offense is insane. They hit so many bombs, it's ridiculous. They are super battered. So if that wild card game, if it doesn't go 5, they could be in trouble. Because you're looking, Caldwell is injured, Mooney is injured. They're out for 3 weeks-ish. Palacios is day-to-day. Vandeput is day-to-day. That cost him the all-time war championship for sure. If he was healthy, he would have made that.
Yeah, definitely.
Dufresne and like 4 bullpen arms, all out. Those guys aren't coming back. So like Washington's beat up. It's a veteran team. They did introduce some youth this year, adding Hyung-Ro Min. He's really added a different dynamic. He has an outside shot at the Rookie of the Year. He hit a really good second half. He won the batting title as well, a .346 average. But adding him diversifies that offense a bit. But it is a steady dinger diet, baby. He bats a catcher leadoff. Dude is a rookie in the season. He's 33, but he had 31 dingers. That's his leadoff hitter. 47, 46, 26, 38, 44, 52 from his number 7 hitter, 37 from his number 8 hitter. Like, there is not a weak spot in that lineup.
Yeah, it's similar to the Virgin League team with all the batting. Kirkland? No, not Kirkland. Is it Kirkland?
The opposite of Kirkland. Halifax?
Is it Halifax?
Halifax.
I would go with Halifax. Fuck it. Where every single hitter in the lineup contributes, regardless of the situation.
Well, Clovis Martin sucks, but he's there for a glove.
Yeah.
Like, he's currently running a sentient glove at second base because Adam Mooney's injured. Adam Mooney's good. Like, I think Adam Mooney's really good. He's a contact bat, so he spreads out their lineup a little bit. He diversifies their offense a little bit. He can run. If he comes back, like if we're talking about this in a couple weeks, their offense looks that much scarier when Adam Mooney comes back. David Caldwell, he was an ace last season. He could have won the Holland Award. He's coming back from significant injury. He had a partially torn labrum. He's coming back this season from that.
Yeah.
Dude's going to be back in a couple weeks. That would add another strong arm to the fold. So, like, you've got to keep in mind this team is fragile, can dinger like mad, but there are holes, there are gaps. I think that Caldwell coming back is fortuitous because I think they're susceptible in pitching. They were what Wuhan is to offense, Washington is to run prevention.
Yeah.
6th in runs against, 6th in starter ERA, 6th in bullpen ERA. Ed Shortall is one of the best relievers in league history. He has not looked the same this year. He has been good, but not amazing. Like, you're looking at a 110 ERA plus. Dave Garza on Castlegar, who's been negative WAR, has like there's guys here that have similar. Dave Garza's got a 104, 6% worse. Dude's got negative WAR. So like Ed Shortall is not the same bet to lock down the back half, like the end of the game that he used to be. Still very good. Jordan Lima's very good. Like, these are good players. They have not had the results that we expected them this year. And with the injury to Caldwell, people in the rotation haven't really held up that end of it.
Yeah,
could they just blow someone away with offense? Yeah, absolutely. If somebody pitches them hard, like say, I don't know, someone throws some junk ball righty in there, are they primed for potentially struggling? Yes.
It's going to be very much, I will outrun score you, try and beat me. That seems like the philosophy of this, what the series will be.
They are a hardy walk and dinger based offense. It's a big part of the game. Yeah. So the thing is, if they get denied dingers or denied walks, it really impacts their ability to score runs. They have it's similar to Castlegar. Their offense works very similarly to Castlegar's, but it's better. Like it's more dynamic. They get on base more. They make contact with the ball more. They hit more home runs. Just a better version thereof, though. It's very walk and dinger based. They don't steal bases. They don't manufacture runs.
They don't try and get runs out of nothing. They just walk out there, get a run there, get a home run. There we go. See you later, lads.
They wait for it to happen. They just, like, the thing is, they are good enough that they can wait for it to happen, but they wait for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do they win? Bombs away. Offense goes crazy. They have 8 guys that are starting with 25 plus home runs, and the pitching's not bad. It's average. Let's be real. It's not bad. It's average.
Yeah. It's the opposite. It's like the opposite of the Monkeys, isn't it? Monkeys is very pitcher heavy, and average to good to pretty good, solid, above average batting. Washington, average to good pitching, unbelievable offense.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They also have a playoff hardened roster. Gallagher, Velazquez, Mick, Palacios. They've all been here before. Mick has been, I think they've all been MVPs of series, actually. Yeah, that's it. Everybody here has been there, but these guys have won MVPs of series. Like, they've been playoff MVPs. They have some playoff performers on the roster. This is a veteran roster. They've had a little bit of youth. They're still figuring out the pitching, but, like, underestimate them at your own peril. Do I think they could lose a series to Calscar Kitchener? I do, but I think they're the favorite.
Yeah, I say they're very heavy favourites, but there's still like a 10% chance that Kitchener or Calscar can.
10. I think you're looking 45%. Like, if you're basically looking at these in playoff series as basically a weighted coin toss, I put Calsgar Kitchener upsetting Washington in the low 40%.
I guess
they both pitch better. They both pitch better than Washington.
But you're trying to deal with Mr. You either make me walk or let me hit, you know?
Yeah. Like, hey, listen, I said they're the favorite. They're the favorite. I just mean, like, I think that 10% is probably overestimating the value of an average starting staff versus an above average pitching staff and above average offense. Like, both Kitchener and Calsgar have above average pitching and above average offense. Washington, elite offense, average pitching. I wonder if the gap is larger between those elements.
Yeah.
And that's where the weakness would lie in that kind of matchup. I think if I were to call this and Washington gets healthy, because the thing is, like, Washington right this instant, probably, like, the odds are way stronger for Calsgar Kitchener. Washington healthy, Caldwell, Mooney, Palacios, Vanderput, everybody healthy except for those bullpen arms that are just gone. Completely different. Well, not completely different, but, like, much stronger case for a stranglehold on a series.
Yeah.
So I think that a Washington Calsgar Kitchener series is 6 or 7 games for Washington.
I reckon it'd be 4 games. I reckon Washington will win 4-0, but I hope the Gar prove me wrong, or Zabbies.
A sweep. All right. Let's go over here. Let's have some fun in the VL. Minnesota.
Oh God.
The $600 million budget.
That's the $600 million team. Surely they can win it this season. Well,
they have to, don't they? Like,
well, most of these players have not got long left, have they? Apart from,
well, I just mean, like, they won in 36. They won in 36. They won in 37. Like, they didn't win in 38, 39. Like, this is 40. Some of those players are aging. Like, Legs is almost 31. Like, he's a phenomenal player still, but he's almost 31. Danny Bueno's 28, which is fine. Flores 32. Bullard's 33. Mays is 35. Like, this is an old team. They're getting older. Berg is 30. Rodriguez is 31. Like, Hansky's 30. Scheidez is 31. Like, that's not problematic per se, because those are all, like, elite players. They're all elite players, but one season they will not be. The slide starts.
Yeah.
And it continues. So, like, the thing is, the Monkeys are probably the best team on paper. Probably the best team on paper. What do they look like if they lose 15% next year?
Ooh.
What do they look like if they lose 25%?
Yeah, that's the thing. These are the things you've got to think about, innit?
But, like, that's the thing. That's a conversation for next time. But, I mean, like, I think what it was is basically I was getting at, if this core only wins 2 rings, is it a disappointment?
Yes.
I think so, too. I think that they've been so dominant for so long to come out with only 2 rings. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel right.
It's sort of like I don't think the best way to word it. It's almost like Redondo Beach-esque in it, except they have a little something to show for it.
Well, here's the thing: 2 rings is 2 rings. They got 2 rings. That's as many as the Gars won in 20 years of baseball. Like, this team has been an elite team for years and years and years. Like, empires rise and they fall. We're not at the fall stage yet. Like, I would say right now, they are the presumptive favorite. If I was going to pick one team where I said, who's going to win the championship, I got to look at it and say it's the Monkeys.
Yeah.
However, they just feel like a team that's going to get dick punched, don't they? Like, I wrote down in my notes, how do they lose? I said hubris. I don't know how they lose. I don't. The offense is strong. It's the second best in the friggin' VL. The pitching is beyond everybody else's. Like, Wuhan's was really good. The Monkeys scored, like, allowed like 60 less runs. Like, they're really, really good. The bullpen was a little soft. It's probably why they underperformed what their run difference should be. They added Isaiah Perry, arguably one of the top 3 closers in the game. Top 5 at worst. They added him at the deadline. Now Mario Morales is a setup guy. Like, everybody slots down. The bullpen looks good. It looks deep. They've got, like, 5 starters. Like, Roberto Martinez is out for a week. He's going to be back. He's going to be back by their series. They get a bye round, essentially, where they're waiting for the wild card to happen. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
And then who's going to go to the bullpen? They got 5 guys that would be top of the rotation starters for every other team. Like, Francisco Chaidez was their worst starter, and it was like, 1.5 WAR. I am sure, if he was in Beijing, he would bounce back to a 4 WAR season in their weird park. Like, I don't know, man. This team looks good. When you're running Danny Alvarez as a defensive sub, a $25 million defensive sub, dude got 200 plate appearances this year and was worth a win. He's got Danny Alvarez.
That's when you know you've got too much money.
He's got 4 rings, 2 playoff MVPs. Like, the dude, he's a 4-time All-Star. I don't know how he's only won 1 Gold Glove and 1 Silver Slugger, but Danny Alvarez was one of the very best ball players in the game for a few years there, and he's won a ton of hardware. He's a playoff performer. He's a good defensive third baseman. Like, that's going to help. That's, like, they have an insane amount of depth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many players get injured. There's always a person to step up and can make that contribution.
Well, the thing there is that nobody got injured.
No.
Like,
it's just...
They're completely healthy. Like, the injuries aren't even keeping them down. They will have no injuries by the time they face the bitch pigeons or the hillbillies. Like,
they're going to be 100% healthy. Like, and you got a stupendous team to choose from.
Yeah. How do they win? They just let the talent take over. They have the scariest lineup with the best pitching staff, one of the best 5 relievers in the game. Every game is an ace. Like, I think Chavez gets dropped to the bullpen, but he's going to be like a really effective middle reliever, bulk reliever.
Yeah.
Like, you run Bird, Rodriguez, Hansky, and Martinez, and you just go 4 lefties. Fuck everyone else. Like, most of the league doesn't build against lefties because the only lefties are really in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis and Halifax. So Halifax are like slightly moved away from it.
Like, there's not a ton of quality lefties, and most of them play for the Monkeys. So, like, I just... It feels like this is their season to lose. But here's the thing. Here's my prediction right here. I think the Monkeys are going to roll whoever they play between Rain City or Hannibal. I know, didn't Hannibal beat them last year?
I think they did, didn't they? They won 4-3? 4-2? Let's have a gander.
All right, but I think Minneapolis, adding Roberto Martinez, adding Isaiah Perry. I will note that Perry is terrible in a quarter of his playoffs, but he's always in the playoffs. He's got like 8 playoff runs. He's been bad in 2 of them. But they padded over some of their weaknesses. Their guys are healthy. They're good. Most of them are hot at the right time. The guys that are cold are not essential. But you've got Mays and Butenkamp just going, right? Mm. And then your pitching staff is... They're going to be rested by the time you're just going to have the opportunity to run like lefty after lefty after lefty after lefty. Like, oh. It
was Sunnyvale that knocked out Monkeys last year.
There you go. Sunnyvale did. That's a like. There you go. I think that they're gonna absolutely batter whoever they play. Like you were saying that Washington is gonna batter Kitchener or Castlegar. The difference between Kitchener and Castlegar and Washington is minuscule compared to what Minneapolis could do to Rain City or Hannibal. Like, they came out of that dogfight division. I get it. I respect that. I think they're both solid teams. I think they're both a little battered. They're coming in cold. I think the Monkeys are going to roll them.
Yeah.
But here's the first hot take.
Right.
Actually, no. I want to hear your thoughts first. You tell me who's going to win, Minneapolis, Rain City, or Hannibal?
I'm going to say Minneapolis, but you have to state the one important thing. The game is played on a virtual field, not a spreadsheet.
Yeah, but neither of those teams that they're playing are the China teams.
That's true.
You're not going to get Peking bullshit. You're not going to get Beijing bullshit. You're not going to get Wuhan bullshit.
You won't get Wuhan bullshit until the final if Wuhan make it.
So, how many games do you think that series is going to be? Minneapolis versus Rain City or Hannibal?
I reckon it's going to be 4-2 Minneapolis.
I think it's at 5.
You reckon it's 5?
I think it's 5 if it's Rain City. I think it could be 6 if it's Hannibal. I'll give Seki, I'll give Osamu and Klontz just a bit of a...
I reckon Hannibal will be the better team out of the two to make an upset.
Yeah.
Because they have a few. They have the 3 superstar hitters, and then they got that bullpen, and that starter set of starters that not to the extent of Minneapolis, but their ERA comparatively to them is better, even statistically. Even though individually the Minneapolis players are much better as a cohesive unit.
Yeah, I just think they're gonna roll them, man. There's no way they can have that many stars and get dick punched that hard. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen this year. Not this round. But speaking of dick punch, if they were to roll Rain City / Hannibal, then we're looking at a Minneapolis-Kirkland series. Because we both thought Kirkland was going to win.
Yeah, that's true.
So who wins that? I think Kirkland.
I reckon Kirkland. I think Kirkland could do it.
It's just, here's the thing, is that like as amazing as that Monkeys roster looks, they just feel like they could get dick punched, don't they? Like you just feel like an average playoff from somebody or a couple average playoffs. Like they just feel like a team that somebody's gonna underperform. Like Hansky had a really strong season. Not as good as last year. And maybe he has a bad playoff. Maybe Brian Berg doesn't have the best playoff. Like, the thing is, if they're based on having their aces play like aces every game, I can remember playing Soviet, and there were years where Francisco Chaidez and Isaiah Perry, who were the core, along with Badirov, of those Soviet playoff teams, those two just suck. Inexplicably suck. And they would lose. And it was like, well, if your ace isn't acing and your closer isn't closing, like...
I expected the worst, but all I got was nothing.
But I mean, like, if you take a look at this team and you're like, cool, we took the Monkeys core that has been good enough, but has also been surprised a couple times, and we added the core of the Soviet teams that never won. It just gives me the feeling that they are setting up to get a dick punch.
I reckon the Monkeys will be upset in the championship series. That's just what I thought.
I think either Halifax could go weird, like if they get past Kirkland, their offense, they could just be on a real offensive heater and their pitching's good enough.
Yeah.
It's good enough. They could definitely, like, especially with the lefties, like this team... Maze rakes, you'd see more Danny Alvarez. Matt Bullard can make some contact with some lefty pitchers. Like Danny Bueno hits lefties fine. Garcia's really strong versus them. But like you start looking a bit like Flores doesn't have the same splits. He's slightly below average versus lefties. Luis Martinez goes from being an all-star to a scrub. Hujino actually does better versus lefties for whatever reason, but like I don't know if I trust that sample size. Their catcher is a lefty batter. Like there's reason to think that Halifax's pitching staff plus a hot offense could upset that. I still think Minneapolis probably wins that, but like something about Kirkland, the way that team looks, the way it's constituted, the way it plays. The Monkeys play a station to station too. They're not stealing bases. They're not manufacturing runs. They could, like Garcia, could manufacture runs. Leon Mays could manufacture runs. I think they probably don't want Mays running because they don't want him hurt. He's a little more brittle as he's aged. They need that guy in the lineup. They need him on the field, and there's method to the madness. Like I did the same thing with Adam Mooney. It's like you could steal 30 or 40 bases, I'm sure. But every time you slide, your knee breaks.
Yeah.
Like your back strains. Like how about we don't do, someone steps on your hand. Like how about we don't do this? Like the tangible value of stealing 30 bags versus being hurt for 8 weeks or 3 months or something. Like
I like to say though, Bill Selmy has stolen a lot of bases this season and hasn't. And only suffered a 3-day injury.
He's also not fragile.
That's true. He's a machine because he's South African.
We'll see how that bears out over time. But like, okay.
I mean, look at Harry Hay. That's just an example, isn't it?
I think Kirkland. If there's going to be a dick puncher, I think it's going to be Kirkland, or if I'm getting ahead of myself, Wuhan from the other from the CL.
I reckon like a team from the Czech League will win the whole thing, whether it be Wuhan or Washington.
I'm getting that feeling. I don't think it's Washington. I think like I will say Washington is likely to win because I think they are likely to win, but in my heart of hearts, they also feel like a team that's going to get dick punched. The pitching staff is it's more than a gut feeling. Like Minneapolis, it's a gut feeling. There's no rational explanation for why you would think the best pitching staff in the league is just going to not be good or the hitting's just going to not be good. There's no reason for that. It's that it's happened a couple times,
And you just have...
and you feel like there's teams here that can exploit that.
You just have this gut feeling that even though best pitching, top 3 batting, it's just that feeling, isn't it? Like,
And the thing is, like, you only need to win 4.
yeah.
It is 4 games, but I mean, like, you only need to win 4 of 7.
Yeah, and
Like,
something random can happen in any of those 7 games that could turn the tide, turn the momentum. I mean, look at... I can't remember what final it was, but it was Pekin versus at the time, Boston, I think it was, wasn't it? Pekin were 3-0 up, and at a certain point in that 4th game where Pekin could have win that series, win that final... Well,
I think that was Oslo, wasn't
it
it?
might have been Oslo. I can't... No, it wasn't Oslo. Oslo only won in 2020 in the first year. When there were the Osaka Weebs.
Fair enough.
I'm sure it was...
A little bit of deep cut history.
I'm sure it was Boston. And there was a certain point in that 4th game, in like the 7th innings, where they could have just shut the game up, and the championship would have been theirs. The pennant would have been going to Pekin and the Ducks. And something happened, and from then on, it became the Boston final. The Boston went from 3-0 to 4-3 and won the World Series, and Tyler manages to get another World Series under his belt. Yeah,
no, I mean, I know it was Boston. I mean, I think the other team, I don't think it was Peking. I think it was Oslo.
No, it was Pekin. I remember it was Bambino, because Bambino was Molden, or Oliver was Molden, you know.
Oh, well, I know the same thing happened to Craig then, so it must have happened twice.
Yeah. Like, I believe Tyler managed to win 4-3 from 3-0 2 years in a row in that spring, because no team has won more than 2 times in a row.
Yeah. I got one for you here, though.
Right.
Minneapolis has not beaten Kirkland this season.
That's a spicy one.
They went 0-6 versus the Signatures this season.
Okay, year after Kirkland, let's go.
Year of the Signature, baby. I think Kirkland in 6.
All right. I reckon the Monkeys will make it to the. Are we talking about the league championship then? Is that it?
Yeah, it'd be the league championship.
I reckon it'd be 4-3 Kirkland.
Wow, you're going Kirkland too. We both think Kirkland's gonna get it to the finals.
It's just that gut feeling in it. Where I'm sure the Monkeys will prove us wrong. Yeti will win a title again, have their 3rd one. But it's just that feeling, isn't it? Like, it's happened in the last 2 years. It could happen again, especially since, as you just stated, they've been struggling against the Signatures.
Yeah.
And that's home and away, because that's side.
I'm just looking. The Signatures are the hottest team since the All-Star game.
Yep.
Like, they're 48-24 post All-Star. Like, I'm looking at that. They 25-20 in 1-run games, 8-5 in extra innings. The Monkeys are 4-8. They're 16-24. Like, Kirkland is a team that is playing with clutch. They're playing with intent. They manufacture runs. I hate that expression, but like that's the thing. Like they are a team that could be surprising, and I think that if we're gonna say that team's gonna be surprising and they've had a really strong second half, I think we have to hand it to them. I think we have to say, like, there's a pretty good shot that they could upset the Monkeys. I think if we're talking about this, it's like a 52-53% Minneapolis. Like, maybe it's even high 55, 57, but like the Kirkland number for having a chance to beat them is higher than you would think it would be given the respective teams' rosters on paper.
Like, you look at it,
and with the run diff.
You look at it and think, like, what, 75-25, 65-35? But
you would think, based on the run differential, that it would not even be close.
Yeah.
The Monkeys had a run differential of a plus 199 this year. Kirkland was plus 28. The Monkeys were -7 in their Pythag. The Kirklands was +8. Like, it's a team based on defense and small ball and getting on base and running first to third on a, like, it's a bunch of kind of boomer concepts, but like there's a reason that they were such an ingrained part in the game, is that there is some value in some of those concepts. And the thing is that I figure Russ is probably tempering some of those.
Yep.
Like if I look at, I'm not seeing. It's not like his team doesn't take a walk. They're 5th in on base percentage. They don't have a lot of power in the lineup, but like they steal some bases. They're 2nd in base running. They prevent runs with their good defense range. They give up a lot of errors for some reason, and they're fielding independent pitching. They don't strike guys out, but like their pitchers keep the ball down. They get the ball in play, and the defense picks it up. It's a team that looks like they have the potential to upset some teams that would probably have a better roster.
Yeah, I reckon Kirkland will make it to the World Series.
Could be fun.
We got the Chad League, haven't we, this time? Chad League, I think we said Washington against Wuhan, I guess? Was I believe? See, this one's also a tight one.
I think Wuhan in 6.
I reckon it's going to be Washington. I reckon Washington will win 4-2.
Wow.
I think that's the only time I think that's the first time we disagreed, but I strongly believe in the Washington offense, to be honest. Even it's very much because I think Washington offense is the same level as Wuhan's pitching, and then Washington's pitching is the same level as Wuhan's batting. Well, Washington could make. They don't have to force runs. They will get runs when they get runs, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think I see what you're laying down, but I think what I'm looking at here, I reran the numbers. Wuhan actually allowed the least amount of runs in the entire league. They allowed less runs than the Monkeys.
Bloody hell.
Let that sink in. Yeah. They allowed 5 less runs than the Monkeys. I was under the impression, I think I was looking at the wrong runs scored or something, but like, I was under the impression that the Monkeys pitching staff was the tops in the league. Wuhan appears to be, right? Like, run prevention. I can't say pitching staff, run prevention. Maybe Wuhan's better defensively. Oh yeah, that'd be it. Middling zone rating, really high defensive efficiency, no errors, never errors. So there you go. Like, their run prevention is possibly better than Minneapolis. So like, I'm looking at their pitching staff, the 4 guys they're going to use: Mustang, Cherry, Hegon, probably the Holland winner this year.
Yeah.
And Rich Jimenez. That foursome is pretty good. There's only one lefty in the group, but like, unless you're playing Pyongyang, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Or Kasigar. Kasigar has problems with lefties.
I think we looked at Washington earlier. I think we said their batting's pretty good against lefties, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty even balance. Like, versus lefties, you lose some off of Velazquez and Mick. Min is very counterable with left-handed pitchers, but like, then you have to deal with Anderson, like Gravedigger, Gallagher, Vandeput, those guys, Palacios. They all rake lefties. Even Montoya becomes a factor versus left-handers. He's pretty trash versus righties at this point in his career. Like, 656 OPS, 66 OPS plus, like sub replacement versus righties, but like, still good defensively. Still really hits lefties. So I think that their lineup has the balance that the righty-lefty thing doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the platoon issue is not a big issue in this series.
I just think Wuhan's pitching. Like it's probably, I don't know if it's backable by data, but they say like pitching wins championships, defense wins championships. That might be in hockey, but like it could be my brainworms, my hockey brainworms. But like
this might be why we think differently, because football, which is my sport, it's the attacking, the offense that wins you titles and championships.
Yeah, well, like the thing is, it's conventional wisdom. I don't know if it's necessarily still true to hockey. I think there was a time where perhaps that was the case, but like, you start thinking of some of the dynasties there, like it's not their defensive acumen that you were probably preaching about the 80s Oilers, right? Like, probably not necessarily the defensive acumen of the 90s Red Wings or the 70s Montreal Canadiens. Like, you're talking about offensive players when you talk about those.
Yeah.
70s Canadians might be a little different, but like...
I like the inflection you had when regarding the Oilers, and like as if I had an idea how good the Oilers were.
So just out of curiosity, what city are the Oilers from?
Edmonton, isn't it?
There you go. Okay.
Are you going to be giving me a hockey quiz now? Is this
Red Wings? What city are the Red Wings from?
Oh, it's not Canadian. It's American. I think, isn't it Chicago? Or was it Detroit?
Oh, so close. Detroit.
I knew it was one of the northern areas of America. I knew it was definitely not a southern one.
Okay, last one. I think you know this one. The Montreal Canadiens.
You just gave it to me.
Oh, shit. I think I just wanted to flex on the French pronunciation of Montreal.
Yeah, I could say Montreal.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly how it sounds to me, but that might be because I'm just a British person that don't give a fuck.
No, it's all good, man. That was a fun little diversion. Just don't ask me about Premier League teams. I have no idea. Although I think a lot of those is like, hey, where's Manchester from?
Well,
Where's Southampton?
I can give you 3 teams because they're not they're not obvious. Aston Villa.
I'm sorry, the what?
Aston Villa.
Is that not like an Italian car?
No, it's a football team in the Premier League.
Oh no.
It's a suburb of
Worcestershire. West Ham.
West Ham's in London, mate. Is a suburb. Aston Villa is in a suburb of Aston in Birmingham.
Oh, there you go.
Everton.
The more you know.
Everton.
Gloucester. I don't know.
Liverpool.
Oh no.
Is actually so Everton and Liverpool have I think it's the closest stadiums to each other in the world, if I remember correctly. It's about, I think it's like 500 meters apart or something stupid. Kilometer apart.
Okay, that's got to be a nickname because I just Googled Everton.
Yeah, their nickname.
And okay, because I Googled them.
Yep.
And it's Everton FC.
Yeah. So FC is always like football club.
Oh yeah, I know, but I just mean like it's like name of the club, name of the standings, Everton FC.
Yeah, that's just because it's a suburb in Liverpool.
That's very interesting.
So some of the football teams in England, if they're from a big city like West Ham, Crystal Palace, Wimbledon, they're all from like London suburbs or Birmingham suburbs, Liverpool suburbs in case of Everton, and Tranmere. Rather than just have what, like in America and Canada, it's just like named directly after the city rather than like a suburb of the city, for example.
Yeah, that's super weird. Like I don't know if the suburbs in certain areas are big enough, but I guess like there's 2 sports teams in certain cities, like of the same sport, right? Like Chicago has the Cubs and the White Sox. I had to think about that one.
Yeah.
New York has the Mets and the Yankees. Like LA.
And the Jets.
Well, it's really just the Dodgers, but the Angels think that they're in LA, but they're not.
You got
They call themselves
you got
LA.
New York Giants and New York Jets as well in the American football scene.
Yeah, that's fair. The New York Rangers, New York Islanders.
You could have gave me that as a quiz earlier.
I could have.
would've got it right
But the
either.
Islanders, they're the weird one. Like they live in a little barn somewhere else. Like they're not.
They're not actually New York. They're just like
That's why they're the Islanders, right? They're away. They're on the island. Brooklyn, I think they actually play most of the time. Well, there you go. Anyways, we have actual like things here. Baseball, fake baseball.
I think we got the World Series to discuss, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. So I think it's Wuhan versus Kirkland. You think it's Washington versus Kirkland.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins?
Ooh. You see, football brain would say Washington because I just think offense wins these. That might be why I'm so fucking shit half of the time.
Well, like, hold on, because Sunnyvale slugged to a championship last year.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Sunnyvale.
Like we've seen this happen.
They went all out in the slugging department, and it pulled them through. Yeah, I reckon it's going to be Washington. Washington are going to win 4-3.
Oh wow!
Might not be the miracle of the Boston, but I reckon Washington will get their first title. But it'd be nice to see Kirkland making it to the World Series. It's another team, a new team in the World Series, isn't it?
Yeah, I see. Okay, here's the thing: is that like I have a lot of faith in Kirkland for dick punching potential.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they do have it. I just something about the starting pitchers. Like when we start going about this, it's like, is Bernard Oliver gonna get there? Is Tim Gillen, Twig, is he gonna get there? I think he might. He seems pretty good. But it's like Kyle Rennie is really on the tail end at 36. He's fragile. There's a bunch of fragile guys there. Like their rotation is largely fragile. Hacksaw got traded over from Redondo. Hasn't pitched great since he went over. But like they have some pitching, but like there's upside. I think the polite way to say it would be there's upside, but there's also like significant downside. I feel like Washington would eat that pitching staff. But the thing is, every team Kirkland's played, we could make that same argument. Yeah. Halifax could eat that pitching staff. Minneapolis could eat that pitching staff.
Any of the teams, any of the teams in the Virgin League can eat that staff.
I don't think Washington does, though. I think it's going to be if we're talking about Kirkland versus Washington here. I think Kirkland sucker punches them the same way they did it to everybody else. Yeah. Like that's the thing with Kirkland is that it'll either be like this drawn out affair. Like you know when I talked about Castlegar, if the games are close, Kitchener's going to win. If the games are not, Castlegar should. It's kind of like that. Like if the games are close, Kirkland's going to eke them out. I really think that. If they're not, they're going to get rolled. Yeah. Like they cannot go shot for shot with these offenses. They can't. So if it comes down to that, yeah, see ya. You're the signature over. But if we have them making it to the friggin' league championships, that's a team of destiny, and I'm not going against them.
I'm a year of the soy boy, rice boy.
Is it even him, or is it still that bot?
Wait, there's a bot?
He got hacked.
What?
Do you remember?
No.
You weren't there for that?
Was I working or?
He got hacked. He was sending out links to like fraudulent things.
Oh no, Rice Boy. You dumb motherfucker.
Classic Rice Bot.
It's okay. It's chatting at 2:37 with normal things rather than chatting.
So like he says he's back, but that's exactly what a bot that was pretending to be a human would say.
Soy Boy Rice Boy has become a robot officially, and that's what we come to.
Rice bot.
So, yeah.
Anyways, so say Washington doesn't make it though. Maybe it's Wuhan.
Then I'll go Wuhan. I reckon I firmly believe the Chad League will win this year, and it would be nice to see a new team win it. I think, because you look at these teams. There's not actually many teams that have won the pennant that are in actually the playoffs.
There are Kasugar, Pyongyang,
Yep. Halifax, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. The Rain City franchise has won.
Wait, have they?
Yeah, no, they haven't. Never mind.
Because it was Redondo Beach.
Yeah, sorry, I was confused because Trav Dondo threw me off. Pyongyang is that one.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Forget about it. No, Rain City Epic Chokers.
Yeah. Rain City Avid Chokers. Pyongyang the old Trav Suwon Neons team.
So you have Kasugar, Pyongyang,
there's only 4.
Halifax,
It's 4.
and Minneapolis. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a good year to hold the line, hey?
Yep.
Especially with, that's the thing, is that some of these up-and-comers, the people that haven't won, they're walking in with the elite tools. Like, Wuhan's probably got the best pitching.
Yep.
At least from this Chad League. Washington's got the best offense. Like, they've got these things that they're hanging their hats on. Those are going to carry. Those are actually mirror images of each other, because Washington's pitching is average, hitting is elite. Wuhan's pitching is elite, their offense is average. So, like, smashing those two together, that's going to be an exciting series. I still think Wuhan's going to win.
Yeah, I can understand it. I mean, it's like basically the opposite reason why I believe Washington would beat Wuhan. So what you reckon Wuhan against Kirkland?
I think Wuhan wins that one. And the reason is that they're both built the same way.
Built the same way, and Wuhan are superior in the pitching side of things.
Well, the thing is Kirkland's bullpen is probably better, but I think that Wuhan's starting pitching.
Yeah.
I don't think Kirkland has the power to handle that. They would really have to lean into the manufacturing runs. And thing is as much as I'll talk about them manufacturing runs with some stolen bases and good running, they still
It can only do so much.
are a team that emphasizes the on base and station to station. They're smart base runners. They're not aggressive.
Yeah.
There's teams that aggressively steal bases, but probably not the best base runners, say New Forest.
Hey, listen now, we're not that bad. We were quite good.
Yeah, but the thing is that you are first in stolen bases by a lot.
Yep.
But then you're fifth in base running. So the thing is that you are aggressive and you get those bases, but you also give back a lot. Kirkland isn't like that. They steal less bases, but they're much smarter about where they pick their spots. It's not a Hardy Bear offense. Get the runner to second, bunt him over, and then hope you hit a long fly. Not that much of that. The Kirkland DNA. So, how many games did you think? If we both think Wuhan's going to win versus Kirkland if they were to make it,
I reckon Wuhan would win 4-1. That would be my presumptive guess.
I say 6. I think they win in 6 games. 4-2.
4-2. And if it was Washington against Kirkland?
If it was Washington versus Kirkland, I said Kirkland in 7. Team of Destiny, baby.
Team of Destiny. And I reckon Washington would win in, I think it's 6, I said? 4, 5 or 6. Yeah,
no, I think, did you not say 7?
Maybe 7. I don't know at this point. I just know Washington are going to win. That was what I believe.
Well, I've documented our predictions here. So, at the end of the day,
I can't wait to play.
You think Washington is going to beat Kirkland
Yep.
in 7 games for the championship, and I think that the Bats are going to beat Kirkland's in 6. That's our end of the. We both think Kirkland's going to come out of that division, that league.
So I'm year
Split
of
owners
the
coming out of the
Redskins, your year of the Bats. If I'm allowed to say Redskins.
I'm sorry, year of the what?
Redskins, the Washington Redskins.
That's not the team, man.
Sorry, Washington football team. Sorry, I mean Washington Commanders.
Washington baseball team.
Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Washington Commies.
So I think he hasn't rebranded, so it's the Washingtons or the Washington baseball
Washington
team.
baseball team. He hasn't rebranded yet. I'm waiting for the Washington Commies to come through.
The W's. Yeah, like Washington Commies would be fun, but that other one, that's a slur. We don't use that.
The Washington Capitalists. And I hope there's a Monopoly Man as the logo.
Like we got a Wall Street money grabber.
That's true. The Scotia division will become the capitalist money division, even though there's the monkeys and the hero spammer.
The Washington Swamps. Drain the swamp. Yeah. So we have our kind of playoff predictions in there. I think the caveat is always like it's a weighted coin toss.
Oh yeah.
Hell, could be year the Gar. Could be year those Zabby.
Yeah, Zabby. That would turn me on.
They got the upside. They have the upside in those star players. Like if Halifax were to win, would I be shocked? Nah, this is a pretty open. This year has had a lot of parity. A ton of parity.
It's probably one of the most balanced seasons to date.
You had some bloodbaths.
Yeah. Like normally you'd have normally you see some divisions and they're very obvious to what's going to happen. This year it's been very much even throughout. There's been a few teams that you already decided that they weren't going to do anything.
Well, you had 4 teams in the Scotia that could have made the playoffs. Yep. You had 4 teams in the Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Well, that was a terrible Canadian OU sound. Mickey Mouse division that could. Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Oh, not a boat. A real mouse. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. There's 4 teams there that could have made the playoffs. This Hero Spammer division, Montreal fell out of it a bit, but again, Montreal could have been a wild card team. They could have been a contender. The year of the man. You probably had 3 teams in the Hero Spammer that could have been playoffs. Oh yeah, it's pretty top heavy between 2. But you had 4, maybe more teams, maybe 5 even that could have been in the playoffs from the Cold War division. It was the trade deadline was slow, but I think it was because there was about 16 teams. There were 16 teams that had a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not a lot of sellers.
Well, at the time, it was 6 in the Cold War, wasn't it? Cold War was so close.
Yeah.
Hero Spammer was about 4, Scotia was 4, Mickey Mouse was 4. So 4, 8, 12. There's 18 teams that couldn't make playoffs at the end of July. Is it July or August? July.
Yeah, no. It's been a very even season. A lot of things. Some of the randomness that's come up. Really fun to see, actually, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this craziness can go in the playoffs. I picked Castlegar to win. I don't actually think they're going to win. We'll see what happens. Teams where it's a disappointment if they lose. I think, coming from the Castlegar side, I would say that's a disappointment. That's an older team. They need to make runs. It's a team that's running off a $200 million budget.
Yeah.
Compared to 600 for the Monkeys or whatever.
400, yeah, that's right. Stupid.
Yeah, 400. So it's a team that they have a lot of free agents this year. They're going to lose their center fielder. They're going to lose their second baseman. There's pieces that are going to walk. It's a disappointment if they don't make a deep run to keep that budget high. I think Washington, they made some big additions this offseason. They've had a bit of an injury season. It's a disappointment if they don't go deep. Pyongyang, I think the expectation with Pyongyang is that they win every year. Or at least make a run. Wuhan made some big moves. There's a lot of teams here that made some moves and they expect to win. I think the Zabbies are kind of closer to the happy to be there class. The young team, cool, we made the playoffs, sweet. I'll take the budget up. But I think they're where they want to be, which is in the playoffs. I think Hannibal's one of those teams. Happy to be there. Rain City, happy to be there. Kirkland, probably happy to be there. I think with what they paid at the deadline, they probably have a little bit higher expectations. But like in the VL, the real ones that bear the weight of expectations are Minneapolis and Halifax. It's a disappointment for both of those teams if they don't go deep.
Yeah, Minneapolis, Halifax, Washington, maybe Pyongyang to some degree, but Pyongyang, you could probably filter down your expectations after the season. They've had.
Yeah, there's teams that have expectations because of the moves they made, and that's Wuhan and Kirkland.
Yeah.
And there's teams that have expectations because they have aging rosters and significant money allocated, and that'd be Pyongyang, that'd be Washington, that'd be Castlegar, that'd be Minneapolis, that'd be Halifax.
Yeah.
Well, again, Castlegar playing on a different scale when you're talking about a $200 million budget versus a 3-year $400 million. But like, still, they're maxed out. The budget's not getting better.
that's your limit, and you have to work with it.
Yeah, mode raise. But with that being said, like, it has been an exciting regular season. We're expecting an exciting playoff. I'm coming up on my inability to speak anymore. But unless you have any more hot takes you want to spit, let's wrap this one up at just under 3 hours.
All I have to say is I have to play 7 Huskar games with Lone Wolf.
Deserved Huskar games.
It's going to be entertaining, at least for me anyway.
I'm gonna have to Google what Huskar is, but I'm looking forward to it.
It's a spear chucking troll that does more damage the less health he has. That's what you need.
Oh, like a berserker mechanic.
Yeah, berserker.
Okay, interesting.
But I don't have any.
Is
Go on.
Is that a meme character, or like I had friends and I played League of Legends. I never played Dota.
It's cheese.
Oh, okay, so it's like a good thing you're playing Huskar, or is it like a?
No. Because I'm fucking bad at it, mate.
Okay.
But my hot take will be next year is the year of the men.
It's always the year of the
men. No matter. Oh.
What's my hot take on next season? I don't think I can make a hot take on next season without seeing how the off season goes.
Oh.
But if I were to make a really hot take, a piping hot take, I don't think the Zabbies are going to get hurt very badly in free agency.
Ooh.
I don't think that they're going to have a bad time. I don't see a lot of guys that are leaving that are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to
have a good time.
Get stronger. I think they're going to get stronger. We'll see.
We'll see.
But on that note, sorry to everybody that we didn't mention.
You should have made the playoffs then, shouldn't you?
You're right. It's a playoff stream. Damn it! I'm sorry we didn't talk about you, New Jersey or Cape Breton.
Maybe
Newfoundland.
Maybe next week.
Hey, Wall Street. Maybe you should keep your best player from getting hurt.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I know that if you're listening through this slog for 2.5 hours, it sucks not being mentioned or not hearing of any content about your team. But like, I guess make the playoffs, make some moves, make something talkable.
We might talk about you next week when we're.
Yeah, maybe we're doing a post-mortem next week. Like maybe we can dissect some of the teams that didn't make it and why.
Yeah. And how they can improve for the future. Not that.
Yeah, like why didn't Montreal make the playoffs?
Like maybe not listen to me so much because I've never won a championship, but I'll listen to the 2-time champion and knowledgeable at baseball guy.
Oh no, am I the Brian Burke of this podcast?
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't even know who he is, but I'm gonna go, yeah.
The analytics are drunk as a lamppost. What?
I'm mad.
I'm gonna have to rent a barn to fight somebody.
I wish I rent them.
And that
I wish I could rent a bar to fight someone.
Long story, we'll explain it another time.
And on that note. I want to go to bed.
This has been the RFBL Report with Bear and Matt Downsky. To find out more about the RFBL, including stats and history, you can go online at